Killing 6-year-old Casey Williamson in 2002 was executed by lethal injection tonight.
Today is the 21st anniversary of a little girl's disappearance and death.
Johnson kidnapped 6-year-old Casey Williamson, who would have turned 28 this November.
The state was slated to execute Johnson next Tuesday. News 4 is working to learn what's next for him as he remains on death.
And we lost her at 23 years old.
Putting down of Missouri man. In the quiet town of Bonne Terre, Missouri, the eerie silence of the state prison was shattered on a somber evening as Johnny Johnson met his fate. On this particular night, the putting down chamber was illuminated, casting a pale glow on the man strapped to the gurney. Johnny Johnson, aged 45, became the center of a heated debate, one that questioned the role of mental health in the criminal justice system. The recent putting down of Johnny Johnson sent shockwaves through the nation, reigniting a long-standing debate about the fairness and ethics of the ending penalty. Johnson's case had been anything but ordinary. As he lay there, moments away from the lethal injection, the concerns raised about his mental health seemed to hang heavily in the room. Johnson had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, a severe mental illness which had led his defense team to argue vehemently against his putting down. The crux of their argument was that individuals grappling with profound mental health issues should not be subjected to the ultimate punishment, demise.
Killing 6-year-old Casey Williamson in 2002 was executed by lethal injection tonight.
And my father drank himself to death.
Johnny Johnson's crime was one of the most horrific murders that has come across my desk.
It was more than either one of them could process, seeing Casey's little body in the...
11 people were here for Casey to witness Johnson's execution.
And we lost her at 23 years old.
The debate over whether individuals like Johnny Johnson should face the ending penalty had raged on for years. On one side, proponents of the ending penalty argued that justice demanded the ultimate retribution for heinous crimes regardless of the perpetrator's mental health status. On the other side, advocates for mental health and human rights contended that executing someone with a severe mental illness was a grave injustice. Johnson's case seemed to epitomize the complexity of the issue. His struggles with schizophrenia were well documented, with medical professionals affirming the severity of his condition. In his final statement, released just hours before the putting down, he expressed remorse and offered a brief apology. "God bless, sorry to the people and family I hurt." It was a stark reminder that beneath the heinous crime that he committed, there was a man whose mental state had been a subject of concern. As the lethal injection began, Justice Sonia Sotomayor and 2 other justices had dissented in the U.S. Supreme Court's decision not to stay the putting down. They voiced the same concerns that had resonated throughout Johnson's legal battles: the putting down of a man with documented mental illness before a comprehensive assessment of his competency to be executed had taken place. In the aftermath of Johnny Johnson's putting down, the questions persisted. Had justice been served, or had a man's severe mental illness been overlooked in the pursuit of retribution? His case became a catalyst for a broader conversation about the intersection of mental health and the ending penalty, leaving society to grapple with the enduring dilemma. How should the justice system navigate the complexities of mental illness in cases involving capital punishment? The tragic case of Casey Williamson. Casey's disappearance on that summer morning of July 26th of 2002 triggered an unprecedented sense of dread and urgency in Valley Park. The close-knit community rallied together and an intense search effort was launched, with volunteers, law enforcement, and concerned neighbors scouring every corner of the town. But the hours turned into days, and as the sun set and rose again, hope began to wane. Casey's family, once inseparable from the community, now found themselves at the epicenter of a tragedy that no one could comprehend. The anguish they felt was a reflection of the collective grief that had gripped Valley Park. Children who had once roamed freely now clung to their parents, with fear etched into their innocent eyes. The town that had known mostly peace and harmony was now shaken to its core. In the midst of this devastating uncertainty, the resolve of the community remained unbroken. They held vigils, organized search parties, and leaned on each other for support. Strangers became friends as they united in a shared purpose to bring Casey home safe and sound. But the unfolding nightmare took an unimaginable turn when Casey's lifeless body was discovered. Buried beneath rocks and debris in a nearby pit, her final resting place was a stark contrast to the carefree life she should have known. The weight of sorrow that descended upon Valley Park was immeasurable. As news of Casey's tragic fate spread, the shock and grief rippled far beyond the town's borders. Her story touched the hearts of countless individuals who had never met her but were forever impacted by her short life and the horrifying manner of her demise. Parents across the nation held their own children a little tighter, knowing that the unthinkable could happen to anyone. The case of Casey Williamson would forever be etched in the annals of Valley Park's history. It became a somber reminder of the vulnerability of innocence and the fragility of safety. The tight-knit community, once known for its harmony, was now united by a shared grief that transcended words. The memory of Casey served as a lasting tribute to the need for vigilance, compassion, and the protection of those who couldn't protect themselves. Legal battles. The legal battles surrounding Johnny Johnson's putting down were marked by a series of challenges and appeals made by his defense team, all aimed at halting the implementation of his ending sentence. Johnson's case was fraught with complexities, primarily revolving around his mental health and competency for putting down. The Missouri Supreme Court became a focal point for these legal proceedings. Johnson's defense team raised compelling arguments regarding his severe schizophrenia and how it affected his understanding of the connection between his crime and the punishment. They contended that executing someone with such a profound mental illness would be a grave injustice. In June, the Missouri Supreme Court denied an appeal seeking to block Johnson's putting down, emphasizing that his schizophrenia didn't prevent him from comprehending the link between his crime and the impending punishment. This decision was pivotal in the legal battle leading up to the putting down. However, Johnson's legal team was not deterred. They took their case to the federal appeals court, seeking a halt to the putting down. A 3-judge federal appeals court panel temporarily halted the putting down plans, recognizing the gravity of mental health issues at play. But the full 8th U.S. Court of Appeals later reinstated the putting down, a decision that further escalated the legal battle. Johnson's attorney swiftly filed appeals to the U.S. Supreme Court with a central focus on his competency to be executed. The U.S. Supreme Court played a crucial role in determining the fate of Johnny Johnson. The highest court in the land received multiple appeals from Johnson's defense team, all centered around the question of whether a severe mental illness should preclude him from facing the ultimate punishment. In the end, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected a late request to stay the putting down, with only Justice Sonia Sotomayor and 2 other justices dissenting. Sotomayor, in her dissent, raised concerns about executing a man with documented mental illness before a thorough investigation of his competency had taken place. She argued that there was no moral victory in executing someone who believed he was being used by Satan to bring about the end of the world. The legal battle surrounding Johnny Johnson's putting down, marked by appeals and differing court decisions, highlighted the complex and contentious nature of the intersection between severe mental illness and the ending penalty in the U.S. justice system. The decisions made by various courts, ultimately leading to Johnson's putting down, remain a subject of debate and reflection within the legal community and society at large.
4 hours ago, Johnny Johnson died by lethal injection for the murder of 6-year-old Casey Williamson.
A Missouri man convicted of killing a 6-year-old girl back in 2005 is set to be executed tonight at 6.
A competency hearing to determine Johnny's current condition and his competency to be executed.
Several family members of Casey Williamson came to this state prison to see the man convicted of murdering her.
Halted the execution of Johnny Johnson, saying it may constitute cruel and unusual punishment.
Remembering Casey Williamson's story. The tragic story of Casey Williamson had a profound impact on her tight-knit community in Valley Park, Missouri. Her abduction and brutal slaying in 2002 sent shockwaves throughout the town, forever altering the lives of its residents and prompting a collective response of grief, solidarity, and remembrance. The effect of Casey's story on the community was profound. Valley Park, known for its serene and harmonious existence, was suddenly thrust into the national spotlight due to the horrific nature of the crime. The sense of safety that had categorized the town was shattered, and a palpable unease settled in. Parents clung tighter to their children, and the idea that such a tragedy could occur in their midst weighed heavily on the collective consciousness. In the wake of Casey's tragic demise, the community rallied together to remember and honor her memory. They refused to let her story be forgotten, and her legacy became a driving force for change and reflection. Several initiatives and efforts emerged in the aftermath of her passing. One such initiative involved providing scholarships and savings bonds to students in her honor.
New today, the man convicted of murdering a 6-year-old girl will be put to death on August the 1st.
We're the ones to identify Casey's body when it happened.
Johnny Johnson's going to be put to death on Tuesday after his stay of execution was lifted today. Johnson's stay was put in place.
Johnson kidnapped 6-year-old Casey Williamson, who would have turned 28 this November.
The Missouri Attorney General's office has now filed a petition to get the stay of execution overturned.
Casey's story also served as a catalyst for discussions about child safety and abduction prevention. It prompted parents to have open conversations with their children about safety and vigilance. Perhaps most importantly, Casey's story brought the community closer together. It united Valley Park residents in their determination to remember Casey and prevent such a heart-wrenching event from happening again. The tragedy, while undeniably devastating, highlighted the strength and resilience of a community that refused to let darkness define its future. Johnny Johnson's struggle. Johnny Johnson's struggle with schizophrenia cast a shadow over his entire criminal case, raising profound questions about the intersection of mental health and the criminal justice system. His diagnosis of severe schizophrenia became a central issue that underscored the complexities and ethical dilemmas faced by the legal system. From the outset, it was evident that Johnny Johnson's mental health played a pivotal role in his actions and the subsequent legal proceedings. His severe schizophrenia, a debilitating mental illness marked by delusions, hallucinations, and impaired cognitive functioning, was a stark factor in the tragedy that unfolded. Throughout his legal battle, Johnson's defense team argued vehemently that his diagnosis of schizophrenia should be a compelling factor in his case. They contend that his mental illness rendered him unable to fully comprehend the gravity of his actions, the consequences of his crimes, and the rationale behind his putting down. The case prompted a critical examination of the ethical and moral implications of executing individuals with severe mental illness. Advocates and legal experts questioned whether it was justifiable to impose the ultimate punishment on individuals whose mental faculties were compromised to such an extent. It brought to the forefront the broader debate surrounding the ending penalty and the extent to which mental health should factor into such decisions. One of the key legal battles revolved around Johnson's competency to be executed. The Missouri Supreme Court and Federal Appeals Court grappled with the question of whether his severe schizophrenia should preclude him from facing the ultimate penalty. The legal proceedings shed light on the complexities of assessing an individual's mental state, especially when severe mental illness is involved. Ultimately, the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to reject a late request to stay Johnson's putting down left many pondering the implications of executing a man with documented mental illness. Justice Sonia Sotomayor and others expressed their concerns, highlighting the need for a meaningful investigation into competency before carrying out such sentences. Appeals and clemency. Johnny Johnson's legal journey was marked by a series of appeals, efforts to secure clemency, and a pivotal role played by the U.S. Supreme Court. These legal proceedings were instrumental in shaping the fate of his putting down. In a last-ditch effort to spare Johnny Johnson's life, his attorney sought clemency from the governor of Missouri, Mike Parson. The clemency petition was accompanied by arguments highlighting Johnson's mental illness and the opposition to the ending penalty expressed by Casey Williamson's father, Ernie Williamson. Despite the appeals, the Missouri Supreme Court denied an appeal that sought to block Johnson's putting down. The court emphasized that his schizophrenia didn't prevent him from comprehending the link between his crime and the impending punishment. This decision was a significant setback for Johnson's defense. Johnson's legal team also turned to the Federal Appeals Court in their bid to halt the putting down. a 3-judge federal appeals court panel initially granted a temporary halt to the putting down, recognizing the gravity of the mental health issues at play. However, the full 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals later reinstated the putting down, intensifying the legal battle. The U.S. Supreme Court played a pivotal role in the final decision regarding Johnny Johnson's putting down. In a closely watched development, the Supreme Court rejected a late request to stay the putting down, with only Justice Sonia Sotomayor and 2 other justices dissenting. Sotomayor expressed concerns about executing a man with documented mental illness before a thorough investigation of his competency had taken place. Ultimately, the Supreme Court's decision cleared the way for Johnny Johnson's putting down to proceed. This decision marked a critical juncture in the legal battle surrounding his case and raised broader questions about the treatment of individuals with severe mental illness within the criminal justice system. Johnny Johnson's case underscored the complexities and ethical dilemmas surrounding mental health in the context of the ending penalty. The appeals, clemency efforts, and the final Supreme Court decision highlighted the profound impact of mental illness on the legal process and served as a focal point for discussions about justice, mental health, and the ultimate punishment. Balancing justice and mental health concerns. The intersection of justice and mental health concerns in ending penalty cases is a complex and contentious issue that raises significant ethical and legal challenges. The case of Johnny Johnson and others like him bring to the forefront the delicate balance that must be struck between administering justice and addressing the mental health needs of individuals with severe mental illness facing the ultimate punishment. One of the central ethical challenges revolves around the putting down of individuals with severe mental illness. While the legal system is designed to hold individuals accountable for their actions, it must also consider the capacity of the accused to understand the consequences of their crimes. Severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia can severely impair one's ability to comprehend the gravity of their actions and the implications of the ending penalty. This raises questions about the fairness and humanity of executing individuals who may lack a full understanding of the punishment that they're facing. Moreover, executing individuals with severe mental illness raises broader questions about the purpose and effectiveness of the ending penalty itself.
Today is the 21st anniversary of a little girl's disappearance and death.
It is egregious to execute someone who does not understand the reason for their execution. He should be kept.
Her killer, Johnny Johnson, was set to be executed next week for her murder.
Being zombie for 10 years, just barely doing the best I could just to get out of bed and breathe.
Brutally murdered her at an abandoned factory.
The ending penalty is intended to serve as a deterrent and retribution for heinous crimes, but its application to individuals with compromised mental health can be seen as a flawed and punitive approach. It prompts discussions about whether such individuals should be subjected to life imprisonment instead, which would ensure public safety while also addressing their mental health needs. The broader debate about the ending penalty's role in cases involving severe mental illness encompasses considerations of human rights, mental health treatment, and societal values. It challenges society to grapple with the complexities of mental illness within the context of criminal justice. Advocates argue for a more compassionate and rehabilitative approach, emphasizing the need for comprehensive mental health evaluations and treatment for individuals facing the ending penalty. Ultimately, the case of Johnny Johnson and others like him serves as a poignant reminder that the justice system must navigate a delicate balance between enforcing the law and acknowledging the profound impact of severe mental illness. It prompts ongoing discussions about the role of the ending penalty in addressing the complex and nuanced issue of mental health within the criminal justice system, pushing for more thoughtful and humane approaches to justice. Casey Williamson's family coping with grief and advocacy. The tragic loss of Casey Williamson in 2002 left an indelible mark on her family, who were faced with the unimaginable pain of losing a beloved child. Coping with such a profound loss was an arduous journey, but Casey's family turned their grief into a catalyst for advocacy and positive change. For Casey's family, the initial shock and grief were overwhelming. Her abduction and brutal slaying shattered their world, leaving them grappling with emotions of anger, sorrow, and disbelief. The realization that their precious child had been taken from them in such a horrific manner was a burden that no family should have to bear. Amidst their grief, Casey's family found the strength to transform their pain into a powerful force for good. They refused to let her memory fade into obscurity and sought ways to honor her legacy. One of their initiatives involved providing scholarships and savings bonds to students in her honor, ensuring that her memory lived on through the educational pursuits of others. The family also organized community safety fairs in Casey's memory. These events became platforms for educating parents and children about various safety aspects, including fire safety, water safety, and bicycle safety. By distributing child identification kits and sharing safety tips, they aim to protect other children from potential harm. Casey's family played a pivotal role in advocating for child safety and prevention efforts. They used their own grief as a driving force to ensure that no other family would experience the heartache they had endured. Their advocacy work extended beyond their personal healing and became a means to honor Casey's memory by positively impacting the lives of others. Throughout their journey, Casey's family demonstrated immense resilience and courage in the face of unimaginable tragedy. They turned their grief into a powerful force for good, using their pain to protect other children and create a lasting legacy for Casey. Their story proves the enduring strength of families who, in the midst of their own suffering, seek to make the world a better and safer place in honor of their loved ones. The ending penalty in the United States, recent development. The ending penalty in the United States has been a subject of ongoing debate and scrutiny, with recent developments shedding light on its status, trends, and statistics. Understanding the broader context of capital punishment is essential when examining cases like Johnny Johnson's. In recent years, there's been a discernible decline in the use of ending penalty in the United States. Several factors have contributed to this shift, including concerns about the fairness of the legal process, the possibility of wrongful convictions, and evolving public opinion. Many states have reconsidered their stance on the ending penalty, with some even abolishing it altogether. The decline in putting down and ending sentences reflects a growing awareness of the complexities and ethical challenges associated with capital punishment. Advocacy groups, legal experts, and the public have raised questions about the effectiveness of the ending penalty as a deterrent, its disproportionate impact on minority communities, and the cost of lengthy legal proceedings. In this evolving landscape, Johnny Johnson's case takes its place as a poignant example of the ongoing debate surrounding the ending penalty. His diagnosis of severe schizophrenia and the legal battles over his competency underscore the complexities of administering the ultimate punishment, especially in cases involving individuals with compromised mental health. The Supreme Court's role in Johnny Johnson's case also reflects the broader context of capital punishment in the United States.
The state was slated to execute Johnson next Tuesday. News 4 is working to learn what's next for him as he remains on death.
Feel like it's been 21 years?
No. Sometimes it feels like it's been forever.
I sat down with 6-year-old Casey Williamson's mom, whom I've interviewed several times over the last 2 decades.
That could prevent further atrocities from happening and help Johnny to cope with his schizophrenia.
6-year-old Valley Park girl 21 years ago today will not be executed August 1st.
The court's decisions have a far-reaching impact on the application of the ending penalty, setting legal precedents and shaping the course of individual cases. While the ending penalty remains a contentious issue with varying perspectives on its morality and efficacy, recent developments suggest a shift away from its widespread use. Johnny Johnson's case is a poignant reminder of the challenges and ethical dilemmas associated with capital punishment in a changing legal landscape. As debates surrounding the ending penalty continue, cases like Johnny Johnson's serve as important touch points in the ongoing national conversation about the role of capital punishment in the United States and its place in a justice system grappling with complex moral and legal questions. Community initiatives and safety efforts. In the wake of the tragic loss of 6-year-old Casey Williamson, the Valley Park community responded with a heartfelt commitment to honoring her memory and ensuring that her legacy would be one of promoting child safety and raising awareness about the importance of vigilance. Educational scholarships and savings bonds. In a touching tribute to Casey, her family established educational scholarships and savings bonds in her name. This initiative wasn't just a means of keeping her memory alive, but also a way to invest in the future of other young students, allowing her legacy to continue through the educational pursuits of others. Community safety fairs. Casey's family organized a series of community safety fairs, turning their grief into a catalyst for change. These events served as vital platforms for educating both parents and children on various aspects of safety. Topics included fire safety, water safety, bicycle safety, and general child safety. Attendees received child identification kits, ensuring that parents had the necessary tools to protect their children. Child safety advocacy. Beyond the safety fairs, Casey's family channeled their grief into ongoing child safety advocacy. They became vocal proponents of child safety measures within their community, advocating for policies and practices that would protect children from potential harm. Their advocacy efforts extended to areas such as improved supervision, safety protocols, and neighborhood watch programs. Memorializing Casey. In addition to these tangible efforts, the community came together to memorialize Casey in a lasting way. Parks, memorials, and plaques were dedicated in her honor, serving as constant reminders of the importance of child safety and the enduring impact of her life. Impact on local schools. Casey's story also left a profound impact on local schools. Teachers and administrators incorporated child safety discussions into their curricula, ensuring that students were educated about safety measures. The tragedy spurred discussions about creating safe environments for learning. Well guys, that does it for this video. See you next time, and bye for now.